actually in the screen?
Yep, you're right in the bullseye middle. And it's recording. I don't like it.
Why?
Because you're not smiling or anything.
Well, I'm not ready to shoot yet. Hi everyone, FG back again. This is a project that kind of took a little bit of an unexpected direction. These are a couple of lamps that I got from superbrightleds.com, and they don't look a whole lot different than these other guys here, which are just FleaBay Chinese knockoffs. But let me tell you, these guys right here, they don't look real big. They're about 3 pounds each. I was stunned when I took them out of the boxes how heavy they are. So I guess you can tell that there is a bit of a difference in construction from the ones that actually come from a name brand or the more knockoff style. Anyway, like I said, the direction that I was saying that I had changed thoughts on was actually that they were originally going to go up here on a bracket, which people usually call, I don't know, rock lights, puddle lights, something like that, and that they basically get mounted like this, pointing forward, and usually I think sometimes angled out a little bit. But anyway, the interesting thing that I was reading about right before I went to order brackets was, if you look at it from this kind of an angle and you think about what's happening, if you're pouring a bunch of light right down here, you're going to get massive glare off of the paint on the hood, especially if your paint has any kind of gloss left. And some of the folk were saying that either they ended up finding out the lights were nearly useless, or that they ended up putting like some kind of a matte wrapping on top of the hood paint or something like that to try to dampen the glare. And of course, the first thing that popped into my head was, well, if you have to do all of that, then this probably wasn't a worthwhile project, and I wasn't really going to drop another $40 to $70 on a good set of brackets to mount these, and then find out that after all of that and all the wiring, and you go to turn them on and they're pretty much useless. So I kind of changed directions a little bit mid-cycle. Now this is getting a little crazy up here in the front. My wife said that it actually looked like the truck has a mustache now. Which is pretty funny. She might be right about that. So anyway, I'm not sure exactly how these are going to work out and whether I'm going to keep them where they are. Moving them around would not be really very big deal at all. Cutting and splicing wire doesn't take a whole lot of time. So basically I just ran all the harness through. I haven't wrapped it up yet. I started the project last night, and unfortunately out here in Maryland, just like everywhere else, as the days are winding down towards winter, they're also getting much shorter. So it was just getting dark as I was finishing, and really had no time to shoot any video. So this is kind of a catch-up sort of thing. But these are some mounting brackets that I purchased from Amazon. Let me give you a closer look here. So this is a rubber insert, and these are designed for about a 1.9 to 1.95 inch diameter bar. They had been advertised as fitting a 2-inch, and many people had complained because they really actually would not fit a 2-inch bar. But as you can see, my little dinky one here is nowhere near that size, and so I ended up using the rubber inserts. And I'm not 100% sure on how much I love that, because here, when you can see, when you wobble this, the rubber does move a little bit. It's not super stiff, so they're not loose, but rubber bushings that size do have a little bit of give. So I'm not sure in the long term how that's going to work out, but I'm going to find out. I may have to re-engineer these a little bit to see what I can do with it from that point. But anyway, these are actually a dual beam in one housing. This is a If I'm remembering this correctly, I believe it's the spot is on the top and the flood is on the bottom. So I took and wired the flood to run with the upper bar of the two right here. This one I often use just as a daytime running lamp because it does point a bit downwards and it really doesn't disturb people too much during the day, but is still visible. And I think, as I had mentioned, I believe in an earlier video, that both of these are wired to my high beam. So when I flick the stalk in the truck, they actually turn on as well. So obviously I'm not using them when there's any traffic nearby. And so I took and connected these guys over here to the same circuit, to the upper lamp, and then the spot beam is actually on the last switch that I had on the overhead console inside the truck. That was originally going to be rear lamps, but I'm not sure if they really would have been a really big amount of use to me, and I could always figure out something else later if I decide to head that way. So I went ahead and actually kind of repurposed that switch to turn on just those two alone. And let me go ahead and mention something here quickly. I used inline connectors. Now I had run out of the quads that I had before, so I just went ahead and used two of them. Now here's a trick that you probably should remember if you're ever doing this. Switch the connectors. You can see here I've got a female mounted on one side, and then the male, and then the female over here and the male. So it's impossible to plug these in incorrectly. You'd have to plug them in upside down or backwards somehow, so that prevents, if I'm servicing later on, from getting confused as to which one of these actually is plugging in where. So that's a clever little trick that you can use if you're doing a multi-part harness, and that way you don't have to worry about, as I mentioned, accidentally plugging them in incorrectly. Well, I got this pulled here. I think I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this a little bit. Here is fan for the transmission cooler. The cooler is factory. The fan obviously is not. That was one of my first modifications. I went ahead and added that, and zoom in over here. See, this is the temperature probe here to the left, and over here is the thermostatic control, which I can just change. When the grill is in position, the Nissan hamburger, the circle, is right here, and I actually set this position just such that I can take a screwdriver and go right through the middle of the hamburger and plug right into this and be able to turn that little knob very easily through the grill when the truck's still all assembled. Obviously, as I said, I was pulling this apart and working on the wiring, so that's why everything is in a state of confusion right now, but that's going to get reassembled very soon, and that should complete this project. So, like I said, I don't know, it might be a little bit overkill, but some people say that overkill is just about right. So we'll see how this works out. I'm going to go ahead and try these out in the next couple of days. I just got them mounted last night, so I have no real experience as far as what they look like on the road yet, so it should be interesting. But I'm just going to go from there. Until next time, FG out.